The next moment that we need to look at is when this evil figure says, I have a general acquaintance here in New England. So he's saying, actually, I know everybody. I know the governor. And he's kind of name dropping. He's bragging. I know this important person, that important person. And remember that young Goodman Brown is naive, inexperienced. So he's kind of impressed. Well, gosh, this guy knows everybody. And I'm just a simple person. I don't know these people. But the devil says, well, I do. And that might be another message of the story, that everyone is acquainted with evil. It's a pretty rare person who has never done anything wrong, never said a lie, never hurt someone, maybe by accident. But the devil is saying, I know everybody. Now, this is quite unsettling to Goodman Brown. He says, can this be so? With a stare of amazement at his undisturbed companion. Now young Goodman Brown comes up with a second reason that he should not go into the woods with this man. He says, there's my wife Faith. It would break her dear little heart, and I'd rather break my own. Now, being a sly devil, the traveler says, nay, if that be the case, e'en go thy ways. Even go your ways. Go home if you want. Go whatever way you like, Goodman Brown. I would not, for 20 old women like the one hobbling before us, that Faith should come to any harm. So he's talking about Faith and trying to agree with Goodman Brown, but then he says, like this woman right here, traveling right in front of us. So it's a surprise. Oh, when did that person get there? And it's a trick as well. This devil person has either conjured this woman up right there because he needs to distract young Goodman Brown. Before Brown races off home, he comes up with a distraction, or he has orchestrated it so that they would meet up with this woman shortly after they got into the woods, and this woman turns out to be someone who is going to freak out Goodman Brown even more. He says, as he spoke, he pointed his staff at a female figure on the path, in whom Goodman Brown recognized a very pious and exemplary dame who had taught him his catechism in youth, and was still his moral and spiritual advisor, jointly with the minister and Deacon Goodkin. All right, so he mentions 3 people who are important in his religious life. This woman, who he recognizes, who taught him in Sunday school, the minister, and Deacon Goodkin. Now, we're going to meet them later, but right now we're just looking at the Sunday school teacher, this woman named Goody Cloyce. Goody is not her first name. Again, that's a title, kind of like Goodman, but the female version. So Brown says, a marvel truly that Goody Cloyce should be so far in the wilderness at nightfall. But with your leave, friend, with your permission, friend, I shall take a cut through the woods until we have left this Christian woman behind. He is afraid to be seen with the devil, given that his Sunday school teacher is right there. So he's embarrassed that he's there, and he wants to hide. He wants to go away. And the devil says, okay, fine, you hide if you want. I'm going to talk to her. And she says, the devil, screamed the pious old lady, this religious woman. Then Goody Cloyce knows her old friend, observed the traveler, confronting her and leaning on his writhing stick. Oh, so she actually knows him. And when she said the devil, she wasn't afraid. She was glad to meet someone that she knows well. And they continue this conversation. Ah, forsooth, and it is your worship indeed, cried the good dame. She's saying, is it really you? Yea, truly is it, and in the very image of my old gossip Goodman Brown, the grandfather of the silly fellow that now is. Goody Cloyce has said, I see my friend the devil, who has put on the shape of Goodman Brown, not the young Goodman Brown, but the elder Goodman Brown. So in her words, we learn that this devil has the ability to take different kinds of shapes, and that he particularly chose the shape of young Goodman Brown's father, or maybe grandfather. It says grandfather. And she says that the young Goodman Brown is a silly fellow. So young Goodman Brown is insulted by her, and we find out that the devil looks like his grandfather. So all in all, Goodman Brown is feeling like these people know each other, they know his grandfather, he's insulted as being silly, and it undermines his sense of what is really right and his confidence in his own faith and his own opinions. So this is a very sly way to manipulate him. So Goody Cloyce walks with the devil for a while, and eventually she says, "Give me your arm." And he says, "You know I can't do that, but here's my staff." Now, why can she not do that? I don't know, really, but I wonder if it has to do with the fact that she could just be a conjured up image by this devil and not be a real person. In any case, he gives her the staff, and it writhes like a snake, and we get another description of it. We're told that it was the same staff that was used in some Egyptian magi place, formerly lent to the Egyptian magi. So the wise men of Egypt, used this staff, giving it this freaky history. And finally, Goody Cloyce disappears because Goodman Brown says he had cast his eyes in astonishment, and looking down again after he watches the staff, he beheld neither Goody Cloyce nor the serpentine staff, the snake-like staff, but his fellow traveler alone, who waited for him as calmly as if nothing had happened. So this makes us wonder, well, what did happen? Maybe she really is just a conjured up image that was meant to distract Goodman Brown. Because now there's that evil figure, the traveler, sitting all by himself. Hawthorne is really playing with our sense of what's real and what's not real. And Goodman Brown keeps experiencing things, but what are they really happening? Are they in his mind? Is this figure real, but he's creating things? Is this figure even real? These are questions that the story doesn't directly answer, but we as readers need to be asking and thinking about. All right, well, they continue to walk. Now here comes young Goodman Brown's second refusal. He says, well, just because Goody Cloyce is going to hell and dealing with the devil, even though I'm totally shocked about that, because I thought she was my Sunday school teacher, even though I'm totally shocked about that, and another leg that my faith stands on is taken away, still, that's no reason I should go down that same road. I shouldn't, right? Young Goodman Brown keeps thinking that he ought to change his way here and go home, but no, the devil keeps convincing him to go on. So he says, if that wretched old woman do choose to go to the devil when I thought she was going to heaven, is that any reason why I should quit my dear faith and go after her? Why should I go to hell too? I shouldn't quit my dear faith. That means I shouldn't give up on my faith, both my wife and my religious conviction. My mind is made up. Not another step will I budge on this errand. So Brown is really decided. I'm absolutely not going. What is the traveler's reaction? He says, you will think better of this by and by, his acquaintance said composedly. Sit here and rest yourself a while, and when you feel like moving again, there's my staff to help you along. Well, I don't trust that old staff, that snaky-looking thing, but the devil or this figure seems to have a lot of power there, and the staff seems to be part of how he's able to conjure up these images. Without more words, he threw his companion the maple stick and was speedily out of sight. So he throws Goodman Brown the staff, and then he leaves. So whatever's going on next, he's not there for, or maybe he's making it happen and he wants to be off stage. I don't know. But pretty soon, Goodman Brown hears some more people coming.